bhunaktu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Anand, can you put the prayer verse on the screen, please?
Swamiji will do one in a minute, Swamiji.
I'm sorry? There is a very beautiful prayer verse, as in every other text, there's a wonderful prayer verse. There's also a very interesting prayer verse, which we will repeat every time as the Dhyana Shlokam for this. Yeah. Yeah. Kataksha Kirana Chanta Naman Mohabdhaye Namaha.
Kataksha Kirana Chanta Naman Mohabdaye Namaha.
Anantananda Krishnaya Jagan Mangala Murtaye.
Anantananda Krishnaya Jagan Mangala Murtaye.
The first line is a one single compound. We will talk about it later. Okay, you can take it off. Somebody came and asked me once, why should I be a spiritual seeker? And the simple answer to that is you don't have to be. Whether you like it or not, you are a spiritual seeker. You don't have to consciously say that I am a spiritual seeker. And it doesn't matter which country you're in, which religion you follow. The fact is that we are all spiritual seekers, if we understand what we are doing. There are some people, I know one specialist surgeon, neurosurgeon, who once was discussing with me, and he said, my entire religion is, I'm driven by seeing my patients in pain, and my entire religion is driven by trying to relieve their pain. Wonderful. So I said, may God bless you. Another one who's a corporate trainer from the north, he said that my entire focus is on ensuring that the people who come for the programs, that they benefit. Again, wonderful. None of this is against being a spiritual seeker. What you have to understand is, when I say I'm a spiritual seeker, anybody says I'm a spiritual seeker, what are you seeking? What is it that we are seeking, and why do you call yourself a spiritual seeker? Vedanta does not tell you don't seek anything in the world. There is, as many of you already know, an injunction to gain vairagya, viraga bhavam. Not get tempted, not get pressurized by any need that you might have. That's it. Other than that, it does not say don't seek anything in this jagat. Perfectly logical to say, I seek wealth. Absolutely fine. I seek fame. I seek a family. I seek the comfort of a family. Wonderful. Nothing wrong with any of these things. But everything that you seek in this jagat, Vedanta classifies into 4 broad groups. Many of you know this already. Artha, meaning anything which I think will give me more security. Kama, more joy, more pleasure, more derive something better out of it. Dharma has many meanings, but in this context, dharma literally means that which I can do to earn punya and to be able to go to Swargaloka and other lokas. And at the end, which doesn't belong to this category, our Shastra tells us there is a fourth human goal called Shreyas or Moksha. These three club into one group. The Moksha as a cat is a separate as a category. Sorry. The big difference between these three and moksha is this. Each of these three we seek, artha, kama, and dharma, certainly gives us something. It certainly gives us a sense of joy, a sense of happiness. And that's what is common between all of them. Once you recognize that itself is a big thing. That what I am looking for is not security, but the sense of joy, happiness that I gain by being secure. Same thing with all the others. Dharma, in terms of punya, is really postponed artha kama. Today, I am here in this jagat, I am seeking some security, some pleasure in whatever form, but I am willing to give up those and focus on doing what Shastra tells me to do in order that I go to another loka, Swargaloka ityadi, at the end when this body falls. Now, each of these you question yourself, why? Why do I want a security? Why do I want certain joy? Why do I want to go to Swargaloka and other lokas? All of them can give you this happiness which is common amongst all of them only as an ephemeral joy. It can give you joy that comes at a certain point and a joy that goes away. All of them are like that, including going to Swargaloka. I make so much, in quotes, sacrifices in this jagat in order to go to Swargaloka, where I will enjoy the same thing which I'm not enjoying here. That is also transient. Apekshika. I enjoy that for a while, come back. Chine punye mathiloke vishanti. Come back here only. Maybe I'll take a circuitous route. Depending upon my own store of punya papa, I may take a circuitous route via a frog, a crocodile, a tree, and then eventually after many janmas come back to become a human being. Or I come back. So the first thing that hits you when you think about it very carefully is none of them can give me lasting peace or lasting happiness. They all give me some modicum of temporary pleasure. Therefore, I'm happy to get that. I'm happy to get that because whatever I get is good. Shastra says moksha is different. Moksha, the desire for moksha, called mumukshutvam, is the only one that is not constrained by this. I don't know about this other than what I can learn from the Shastra. Shastra says, moksha is that purushartha, that human goal, which is the only one which can give you lasting, permanent, absolute ananda. So this is the first big difference in this whole thing. Because what happens when I say that I'm looking for security because I want happiness and peace, but that doesn't help because I know it will go away. Same thing with the others. Then the question is there another way by which I can get this eternal, not a good word, a non-limited peace and happiness? Shastra says yes. You stop shopping for artha, kama, and dharma. Go to a specialized boutique shop and look for moksha. That will give you what you're looking for, even if you're not very clear about it. How do I trust this? Because it is said so in the Shastra. We will talk more about this. So what if it said so like that? There are so many texts that I read which tells me many different ways of getting this joy. How do I take this to be the one that I should accept? Not only that, to gain any kind of peace and happiness through these three, this set of artha, kama, dharma, I have to make a lot of effort. I have to plan. I have to work against resisting forces. There are enough in this world. I have to build my own capacity. And all this I have to do within the framework of the other meaning of dharma. Because I know that if I'm going to get something by transcending dharma, transcending not a good word to use here, by crossing dharma, it is not going to lead to anything. So a lot of effort required, a lot of disappointments, a lot of pain, a lot of dukkha. And even after I have got what I went to get, I have now got the 100 crores that I had worked towards. And then I find my neighbor, who's always been jealous of me, has got 200 crores. Even while I have this, I have achieved what I want to achieve because I thought it was going to give me some sense of peace and happiness. Nothing happens. So in the time when I am actually enjoying the success, I am also worrying about what will happen. I know this is not going to last. I know today I have achieved this, but it's not going to last. Something else is going to come over. I'm always comparing. उसकी कमीज मेरी कमीज से सफेद कैसे? There's an ad for, I think, a rinse soap it was. in Hindi. He said, how is it that his shirt is whiter than mine? Always comparing. So even though you have achieved what you set out to achieve, it is very dissatisfying. Then there's a fear of losing it. Whatever you achieve, fear of losing it. And afterwards, when you actually, that ends, there is a loss. Then there is regret. So not only is it temporary, transient, ephemeral, this peace and joy that I'm trying to gain is fraught with worries and problems. Before, during, and after. And as a consequence of this, what also happens is that there is no end to it. There is never a point at which I can say, I am totally satisfied. I will not want anything more. It doesn't matter what the object is. Money, fame, whatever else it is. There's always this issue. So this desire for sukha, which is not limited by any of these things, not by time, because mostly these are all under time. It comes, it goes, T1, T2, finished. Nor is it available to me freely, independent of space. What is looking good today to me, tomorrow I go to another place, it doesn't look as good. So this kind of anitya sukha is all I can gather in this world. And this is, where is it? Where is this ichha for nitya sukha? How am I going to get? So Shastra says that nitya sukha you can get only if you understand moksha. So you start with by saying that I want this, 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 this. Then when you understand these are all not permanent, these are all anitya, then you translate that desire for whatever it is you want to Artha Kama Dharma into saying what I really want is sukha, peace and happiness. Then the later understanding, because I experience it in the world, I go around setting up certain targets, failing them sometimes, succeeding once in a while, but never gives me a feeling that is done. I am done and over. I don't want anything else. So what happens? This recognition that what I want, what I'm searching for is nitya sukha. My desire is for some sukha status not limited by time, space, or vastu. I often quote this verse from the Mundaka Upanishad. If you are an intelligent person, and I would gather all of us are in that same category, would you not examine this and say, I have done this, 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 this. I'm still not happy, still not satisfied. What is it that is creating this problem? Parikshalokan karmachitan brahmana. Brahmana is a wise man who recognizes that I have tried all this, I've gained so much, I've failed so many times, but gain or loss, I'm still in the same place. I am not getting what I want. Then you go turn around and look at Shastra and Shastra says, what you need is to understand Shreyas, moksha. So from a desire for sukha, I recognize that what I want is not just sukha, I want nitya sukha. And from there I move on to saying that nitya sukha is only moksha. Therefore, my desire is now for moksha. Then, when you have done this for a while, you ask yourself, how do I get this? I mentioned earlier that you can go to a boutique store and buy moksha. You can't. It is not available in any store. Then you recognize that moksha is only through knowledge. This knowledge itself is a subject we will discuss a lot about during this study of this text. What knowledge? What kind of knowledge? What is the nature of that knowledge? But certainly this much we will get from the initial study of the Shastra. That moksha ichha, mumukshutvam, has to be through gaining knowledge called jignasa. I have to gain the knowledge. Moksha is not an object available in a store. Moksha is not available in temples or in bars or in drugs. Although some people say, I went to moksha and came back. No, not available anywhere. Moksha is only possible way of getting what you want, which is lasting sukha. And that moksha has to be gained through a desire to know called jignasa. I have to understand. It is not going to be obtained because one big guru with a big dadi says, you follow me, you will get moksha. You can't. You have to understand, you have to question, you have to think about it, you relate it to what you know already. When that clarity happens, that is moksha. So, your desire in terms of the purushartha, artha kamam, dharma, you understand is because of a desire for sukha, which you understand is inadequate because what I'm looking for is sukha, which is nitya sukha. And that nitya sukha is going to come only because I understand moksha. And that moksha is going to come only through understanding and gaining knowledge. Jnana. Now, any jnanam, any knowledge of anything in this jagat or otherwise, you need a source of knowledge. Some of this, which in this world, we can gain through a source of knowledge on our own. But most of them not only require a source of knowledge, they also require somebody who is already understood and who is willing and able to teach you. That means what? That means you have to be able to approach the teacher and say, please teach me. That sentence in Bhagavad Gita applies to any knowledge. Tad viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. You have to approach a person who's already understood. So you go to a university, you go to a particular professor of whichever field that you want to know more about and ask him to teach, either in a formal classroom setting or individually. Why did you go to that? Because I want to know this. I have to understand. I love animals. I want to understand the behavior of whales. I can read some books, but what I really want to do is to go to somebody who has spent a lifetime studying whales and ask him, please take me as your apprentice and teach me. That is how we're going to learn any subject. And this moksha jnanam is about the nature of the self. Understanding my true nature. Therefore, I have to go to somebody who has understood this. And I've said, where has he understood it from? From the Shastra. That's the only pramana, source of knowledge available for this. There are textbooks available, all kinds of things in this world for this knowledge. That source book is the Shastra. And books are only words. Whether it's a history book or a biology book, it's only words. Maybe with added with some diagrams and tables, but still words. And when you read those books, you don't always understand it the way the author wrote it. The author was trying to express it. Because your understanding depends on your background, your experiences, and your own assumptions. And his explanation will also depend on that. Where has he learnt it from? Perhaps from the same book with a teacher. But there is always a chance for mistaken understanding. Even in any subject. And when that knowledge of a subject, you go deeper and deeper and deeper, is such that any subject in the world, there is no point at which you can say, I know everything. You cannot know everything. Nor does your teacher know everything. There is so much more that you don't know. In fact, the more a person knows about any subject on the earth, the more a person recognizes how much more he doesn't know yet. So even in this world, it's like that. But when it comes to the knowledge of the self, which is your jnana, which is sprung from my mumukshutvam, which itself has sprung from my ichha for nitya sukham, which started as a search for sukha. What happens in this world generally? Even when people recognize that all that they are gaining from the world does not satisfy them, they don't know what else to do. So what do people do generally? This gave me a little bit of sukha, even though it came with a lot of dukkha, even though I know it's not going to last, but I can keep trying for more. I can keep on at it for a long time. But this never ends. So at some point of time, you have to take a step back and say, it's not working. It's not working because it is not in this ladder that we've traced. It is not giving me what I want. Go back to Shastra, go back to the Pramana, go back to the Guru, which even for people who have understood they need this, many people don't have access to. How many people in this world of what 8.5 billion people or so have access to this Pramana? A tiny little percentage. To a Pramana, the source of knowledge, to a Guru who can unfold it for them. So the ones who have that access should consider themselves blessed. When you say you're blessed or you use the word lucky, it only means that you have in your bank a lot of punya. That punya which is giving you access to this. No book on psychology, no book on physiology, no book on philosophy can give you answers to the question you're asking yourself. What is the real nature of the self? Everything they can give you is about objects, all of which are unreal. So where are you going to get this from? From the same source from which hopefully your teacher has got, from the same source from which his teacher has got, and so on, till it goes to the first Guru in each cycle of Kalpa, who has then given this knowledge to the next bunch of people and the next, coming all the way to us. Sadashiva Samarambham, starting from Sadashiva in the form of Dakshinamurti, Vyasa, Shankara, and so on and so forth, as Mad Acharya Paryantam, till my own Guru, who has learnt in this parampara, who I am fortunate enough to have access to, or better wording is, where I have earned enough punya to have access to. Is available to me. This now, the Jnana Ichcha also translate into understanding the Pramana. The Pramana is two parts. Shastra words and a Guru. Together they form the Pramana. If this clarity of the different stages of one's seeking, if one were to examine and say, this is what I'm looking for, and therefore this is what I'm trying to gain, then Shastra itself says, Atmavare Shrotavyam. Before that, Jnatavyam. Atma has to be known. Self has to be known. Shrotavyam. Mantavyam. Nididhyasitavyam. Steps are very clearly laid out. I have to be very clear that if I want to learn this, I must have enough luck, fortune, punya, to have access to the source of knowledge, to have access to a guru who is a Shrotriya Brahmanistha, and to have certain commitment, certain clarity of purpose, to commit a length of time. I want to know. Yatavyam. And for the first step in that is Shruti, Shravanam. I have to be able to commit myself to a length of time of listening. And there will be a lot of clashes. There will be a lot of clashes because I've already formulated something in my mind. I already know certain things, know in quotes. Therefore, when Shravanam tells you, Shastra tells you, Guru unfolds it and explains to you the nature of the self. I have some idea what the self is. I have what I am. I am this much, I am not this. When the Guru outlines this, it's so different from what I think I know that there will be internal clashes. So when doing the Shravanam, the seeker has to not only be able to commit oneself, but also be able to say, I have certain ideas, and I've lived with this for the last 40, 50, 60 years, whatever number of years, and I have not been able to get where I want to get. So if I have access to this, I also need to have Shraddha. Shraddha is a very specific word, loosely translated as faith or trust. It's neither, much more than that. Acceptance of the Shastra as the source of knowledge, pramana. Despite the fact that it seems to contradict so many things, I'm willing to not forget, but keep aside my own assumptions and conclusions and listen to what it says and work on the differences. Where is the difference coming from? Is there something in the assumptions I have made which needs to be re-examined? Shastra says, this sukha that you're seeking is not going to come from anywhere outside. It is not in an object. It is not in a relationship. It is not in a situation. It is not in anything outside you. That sukha, even when I experience some sukha from outside, or I think I experience that, good food I eat, I feel sukha. Something nice happens, I sense sukha. Even this sukha that you're seeing is not on that object or the situation. It is your own reflection of your own nature, your own swarupa. And because you take out the object, it's not going to go away. If I have a mirror which shows a beautiful image, and I remove the mirror, the image will go, but the original will never go. The original still remains. This is the fundamental thing one has to understand, that the source of sukha is not outside of one. Now, it's a very different thing from the way we experience things. I experience sukha by eating certain type of food which I like. I experience sukha by watching a movie on television, on Netflix, which I love. I experience sukha because I'm partying with friends. None of these is the root cause of the sukha. They are like a reflected image. They don't go away. They will go away, but the original will not go away. Therefore, it looks like the peace is gone and come and gone, come and gone, come and gone. Sukha has come and gone. Yes. If you want to gain the sukha, which is what you're seeking, the nitya sukha, then these are insignificant. And as we trace this whole process, we then recognize that what I am looking for is going to come through Shravanam. This Shravanam could be of the Upanishads, which is what the correct actual source of knowledge is. Vedanta. It is there at the end portion of every Veda, in the form of Upanishads. It is not very easy to understand, despite the fact that one might have a very competent guru. It's not something which is easy to understand. Sukshmatvat. Knowledge of any object in the world, tangible or intangible. One can put in more effort and gain that knowledge. One can go to a better teacher. But this is not so easy. So I have to do Shravanam for a length of time, commit myself to that Shravanam. I have to have certain Shraddha to be able to assimilate what it's saying. And then to help me, there are a number of wonderful, simpler texts than Upanishads that are available. Many of you have read, studied Tattva Bodha. Tattva Bodha means the knowledge of reality. It is considered a fundamental text, a text which is almost like a starting point for anybody who is treading this path. Then there are so many other granthas. All of them are classified as prakarana granthas. Each one takes an aspect which may be causing problem to the seeker, and tries to explain it in words and in terms of method, which may be easier to understand. We have done a few of them. There's Atma Bodha. There is even Bhajagovindam. Wonderful texts on their own. When I studied Bhajagovindam 30 years ago, I had this confusion. I don't know how many of you follow the same kind of, have the same kind of difficulty. There were times when it looked like it was very clear. And then there are other times when it looks very confusing. It will be like that. And then there are texts like Panchadashi. And the last text we did called Viveka Chudamani. These are texts which are complete. They have complete methodology. Who is the Adhikari? How do you gain this knowledge of the self? How do you understand this Jagat? How do you understand Ishvara? So very beautifully, it builds us as a supplement to the Shravanam that we do of the Shastra. Those of you who have done this Viveka Chudamani will remember how we went through various stages of this understanding. This text called Advaita Makaranda. Many of these texts are written by Adi Shankara or attributed to Adi Shankara. But this particular text, Advaita Makaranda, is written by a author called Lakshmi Dhara Kavi. He was a poet. And we will see his beauty of his poetry when you read these text verses. This is, I think, only about some years after Shankaracharya. He was a great scholar of Sanskrit. And at some point in his life, he eventually took sannyasa. But when he wrote this, he's also written other texts. This text called Advaita Makaranda is often referred to as a Manana text. A text to aid Mananam. The whole process of Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam, the three steps involved, are first, listen to what the Shastra has to say. Assimilate what it says over and over and over again. Like there'll be a lot of conflicts. There'll be inputs that you've got yourself collected over many, many years, inputs from other sources, which seem to contradict what Shastra is saying, which creates doubt, which also looks logical. So that step of clearing all doubts, as long as you have even a small amount of doubt, like Arjuna had in the 6th chapter, there will always be an element of uncertainty. How do I know this is true? How do I know there's something called moksha? So that doubt has to be removed. Totally. And then in the Nididhyasana is the stage where it took total assimilation, because this is about the nature of I. So the complete assimilation of this is the step called Nididhyasana. We will examine this in some detail and the relevance of this text called Advaita Makaranda in the next class. As Anand said, next class will be on a different Zoom ID. Timings will remain the same. Days of the week will remain the same, Mondays and Wednesdays. So the next class will be on Wednesday at 6:15 on the new Zoom ID. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya